Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
What if the driverless car pulling up to your curb and the sudden disappearance of your company's middle management are, well, actually the exact same story?
Right. Today, we're tracking the billions of dollars actively moving right now to replace human labor, from the sunny streets of Miami to, the highest levels of corporate finance.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots, the daily tech show from Snarful Solutions Group, right here in Sacramento, California. I'm Alex.
And then I'm Morgan.
And it is Thursday, March 19th, 2026. Looking out the studio window, it looks like Sacramento is finally burning off that heavy morning fog.
Yeah, and we're heading for a high of 91 degrees today, which is, it's incredibly warm for mid-March.
Extremely warm. And the broader picture for you tuning in across the country is just as extreme, right?
Oh, absolutely. We've got this unusual, intense early spring heat wave baking the entire southwest U.S. right now.
Yeah.
Plus, if you are tuning in from the Central Rockies or the Plains, the National Weather Service is tracking critical fire weather. We're talking really gusty winds paired with low humidity lasting through Saturday, so please be incredibly careful out there.
Yeah, definitely stay safe and stay hydrated. Now, on the sports front, we do have a quick groan for the local fans.
Yeah.
The SF Giants dropped their game to the Dodgers yesterday, 1-5. Shohei Ohtani picked up the win on the mound, and Freddie Freeman hit a home run. So just a tough day for the orange and black.
A very tough day. And a tough day for the markets, too. They took quite a hit yesterday.
Yeah, they ever.
The Dow closed down over 334 points, settling at 45,800. The S&P 500 slipped by 21 points. And, the crypto markets weren't spared either.
So.
Bitcoin took a nearly $2,000 tumble, dropping all the way down to 69,320.
Just rough waters all around. But, hey, before we get into the heavy tech news of the day, we need to mention our sponsor, Strong Coffee, the premium instant coffee that tastes like a traditional brew, but is packed with 15 grams of protein, MCTs, and adaptogens like ashwagandha to give you clean, sustained energy without the jitters. Promo code SNARFL gets you 20% off your entire purchase at strongcoffeecompany.com.
Which is honestly a lifesaver. That ashwagandha actually helps smooth out the caffeine curve when you're staring at screens all day, tracking these market swings.
Oh, it's a total game changer.
Okay.
All right, let's get into the core of today's show. We are opening up the Morningstar.
Right, our Snarful Tech article report.
Exactly. And today, we're looking at three major top stories. The common thread here isn't just that futuristic tech is advancing in a lab somewhere. It's that these companies are aggressively deploying it to reshape everyday life and business. Like, right now.
The timeline for the future just keeps shrinking. Companies are moving from that theoretical testing phase to massive multi-billion-dollar operational deployments. And they are doing it with stunning speed.
Yeah, so let's jump into our first story, which is a perfect example of this.
Yeah.
Uber is making a colossal bet on the future of ride-sharing.
A massive bet.
They are investing up to $1.25 billion into EV maker Rivian to deploy up to 50,000 Level 4 robotaxis by the year 2031.
Which is wild. And to put that timeline in perspective, the rollout starts with a $300 million initial investment right at signing.
Right.
The roadmap they've laid out is that by 2028, they plan to put 10,000 autonomous Rivian R2 vehicles exclusively on the Uber app.
And they're kicking things off in San Francisco and Miami, right?
Exactly. San Francisco and Miami first.
Looking at Uber's broader strategy over the last few years, this looks a lot like the Apple App Store model.
Oh, that's a good comparison. How so?
Well, Apple doesn't make every app on your phone, right? They just provide the universal network that everything runs on, and they collect the toll. Uber doesn't actually want to bend metal or build factories.
Right. Bending metal is a low-margin, high-risk business.
Exactly. It's what the industry calls heavy CapEx, or capital expenditure. Uber wants to be the high-margin software layer. They want to be the ultimate demand network.
So let Rivian burn the cash building the cars, and Uber just owns the riders.
Precisely. And this isn't an isolated deal for them. They've made similar pacts with Lucid, Volkswagen, and autonomous startups like Wave.
Because they offer these automakers an irresistible sweetener. They're basically saying, you figure out the hardware, and we give you instant access to hundreds of millions of riders globally.
I totally see the upside for Uber here. But looking at Rivian's side of the equation, I have to be skeptical.
Yeah. You don't think they can pull it off?
Are they actually ready to deliver on this? Because looking at the report, Rivian's autonomous capabilities seem largely theoretical right now.
That's a fair point.
Like, they rolled out a universal hands-free feature last year, which is, basically just advanced cruise control. But they aren't even scheduled to add the crucial LiDAR sensors to the R2 until later in 2026.
Which is the massive engineering hurdle here. For anyone listening who might be unfamiliar, LiDAR uses invisible lasers to build a real-time, highly precise 3D map of the world around the car. It bounces light off objects to measure exact distances.
Whereas standard cameras just capture flat 2D pixels and try to guess the depth.
Right, which can be fooled by shadows or reflections. LiDAR is wildly expensive, but it is an absolute requirement for Level 4 autonomy.
And we should probably clarify what Level 4 actually means, because it's a very specific industry term.
Go for it.
It doesn't mean the car can drive absolutely anywhere in any condition. That would be Level 5. Level 4 means the car is fully autonomous with no human intervention needed, but only within specific geofenced areas or under certain weather conditions.
Right, so deploying 10,000 Level 4 cars in complex urban environments like San Francisco and Miami by 2028 is, well, it's incredibly ambitious.
Extremely.
Especially without LiDAR currently integrated into the vehicles. Rivian is burning cash fast.
So that $300 million initial injection from Uber, it softens the blow, but it certainly doesn't solve the core engineering challenge. It buys them a little more runway, but it doesn't buy them the finished algorithm.
And Uber knows this too. Their investment is strictly contingent on Rivian meeting specific autonomy milestones. If Rivian can't get that LiDAR integrated and the software stack perfected, the rest of that $1.25 billion never materializes.
But if they do hit those milestones, the plan is to expand to 25 cities across the US, Canada, and Europe by 2031.
Which completely changes everything for you and me.
Oh, absolutely. Think about your own daily commute or your next trip to the airport. In just a couple of years, ordering a ride isn't going to mean making polite small talk with a driver who's navigating morning traffic.
Nope, it means an empty, custom-integrated AI vehicle silently pulling up to your curb.
It completely alters the social contract of transportation. And fundamentally, it highlights a massive shift in human labor.
Right, because Uber currently relies on millions of human drivers worldwide. As they push to become the universal network for robotaxis, the role of the human driver begins to systematically evaporate.
Exactly. Uber is actively automating physical labor on the roads, but the exact same math is being applied to knowledge workers behind a desk.
It really is.
If you think sitting in a corporate office protects you from the robotaxi effect, just look at what happened at Crypto.com this week.
Yeah, let's move to our second story. Crypto.com just announced a pretty brutal workforce reduction. They have slashed roughly 12% of their global staff.
Which equates to about 180 roles wiped out.
Right. But CEO Chris Marszalek didn't dress this up as a standard macroeconomic adjustment. He explicitly stated this is a strategic pivot to enterprise-wide AI.
He actually posted a stock warning on social media saying, and I quote, "Companies that do not make this pivot immediately will fail."
The language is incredibly aggressive. He also noted that roles which do not adapt to this new AI-driven operational model were the specific targets for elimination.
So it isn't framed as the company running out of money. It's framed as fundamentally redesigning how the company operates from the ground up.
Exactly.
Okay, but stop me there, because I have to view this with a healthy dose of skepticism.
I don't blame you.
Crypto companies slash staff all the time when the market dips. We're looking at an industry facing serious macroeconomic headwinds right now. Like, Crypto.com itself already cut 20% of its staff back in 2023.
True.
So how do we know AI integration isn't just a shiny, new, trendy PR shield for standard corporate cost cutting?
I mean, that skepticism is totally warranted. Pivoting to AI is the most convenient excuse in the tech world right now for trimming headcount.
Right.
However, Marszalek is putting serious, undeniable capital behind this rhetoric. Just last month, in February, Crypto.com spent $70 million to purchase the domain name AI.com.
Wait, $70 million for a URL?
Yeah. You do not spend $70 million on a domain name if you are just trying to casually trim your quarterly payroll to appease board members.
That's a fair point.
That is a massive structural commitment to a new business model. Marszalek's philosophy is that pairing the best AI tools with top human performers achieves a level of scale and precision that was previously impossible.
Wow. So think about your own office right now. What Crypto.com is doing is sending a warning shot to the entire market.
Absolutely.
AI isn't just a fun chatbot you play with to write a polite email to your landlord anymore. It is an active, aggressive mandate in the workplace. If your role can be automated, or if you cannot actively manage AI to 10x your output, your job is the bottleneck.
It completely rewrites the definition of human capital. I mean, in the past, you grew your company by hiring more analysts, more marketers, more middle managers.
And
Now, leadership views human headcount as a liability. They want a small, elite team of human directors guiding massive fleets of autonomous AI agents. Instead of writing your report yourself, you are auditing the output of 10 AI agents writing 10 different reports.
it's the exact same dynamic as the Uber story, just wearing a suit.
Exactly.
Instead of a fleet of empty cars navigating the streets of Miami, it's a fleet of invisible algorithms processing financial data.
Which brings up a fascinating contradiction, actually. At the exact same moment that Crypto.com is aggressively shrinking its human workforce, it is making a massive historic expansion into traditional finance.
Oh, this is a huge deal. This is our third major story from the Morningstar report. Crypto.com recently secured conditional approval from the U.S. Office of the Controller of the Currency, the OCC, to establish a national trust bank.
Right. And to understand why that is a massive deal, we need to look at what the OCC actually does. They are the federal agency that charters and regulates national banks.
Yep.
So this conditional approval paves the way for Crypto.com to offer federally regulated digital asset custody and trade settlement.
And just to be clear for everyone listening, we need to add a quick note here. This federal approval came just weeks after the firm donated $5 million to a pro-Trump Super Peaks.
And we want to strictly state that we are impartially reporting the facts from the source material here.
Absolutely. We are not endorsing any political viewpoints or sides. We are simply reporting the timeline of events to show how crypto companies are actively navigating Washington to achieve federal integration.
Because that navigation is the whole story. The crypto industry has spent over a decade operating on the fringes of traditional finance.
Yeah, it's been a mess.
They've dealt with a messy patchwork of state-by-state money transmitter licenses, constant regulatory friction, and a general lack of trust from massive institutional investors.
Right.
By engaging deeply with the political system and securing a charter from the OCC, they are locking down the ultimate prize, which is federal integration.
Which means the era of crypto being this rebellious, anti-establishment Wild West is ending. I mean, Crypto.com has 100 million registered accounts. They did $750 billion in trading volume in 2025.
They are massive.
They aren't a niche internet forum anymore. They are stepping right into the federally regulated banking system that you use to pay your mortgage and buy your groceries.
It legitimizes the entire asset class for you and me. A national trust bank charter means they can act as a fiduciary.
Right.
If they can offer federally regulated digital asset custody, it means major institutional players like pension funds, massive corporate treasuries can park their assets there with the exact same confidence they have in traditional legacy banks like Chase or Bank of America.
It's the ultimate maturation in the industry. They are firing the staff that can't use AI, and they are hiring the compliance officers that can talk to federal regulators. They are literally putting on the proverbial suit and tie.
It really is a fascinating juxtaposition. On one hand, you have technology decentralizing work and pushing humans out of the driver's seat and the office desk. And on the other hand, you have that same technology heavily centralizing its financial power and integrating directly with the oldest, most established federal institutions we have.
We have covered a lot of ground today. But before we start the closing segment, we need to mention our sponsor, Old Glory, an iconic music and sports fan merch store. Which is great stuff for your techie friend. If listeners use promo code SNARFUL at checkout, you can get 15% off your entire purchase. The website is oldglory.com.
Always nice to find a spot that has something physical and unique, especially when, everything else we've talked about today is becoming so automated.
Exactly. Speaking of which, let's take a step back and briefly recap the real-world impact of today's Morningstar report.
Let's do it.
We are looking at a near future where autonomous R2s handle your commute.
Right, and where AI handles massive corporate data precision.
And where your federal bank seamlessly handles your crypto staking right alongside your checking account.
All three stories point to an incredibly efficient, highly automated world. But, that efficiency brings up some really complex challenges about the role we all play in it moving forward.
Which brings us to our final lingering question for you to mull over today. We've talked about the physical jobs, like driving, disappearing.
Right.
And we've talked about the analytical, white-collar desk jobs disappearing. So if AI successfully achieves the scale to replace both the driver of your cab and the analyst at your crypto exchange, what entirely new industries will have to emerge to employ the human workforce of 2030?
Man, it is the multi-trillion-dollar question. Historically, technology destroys jobs but creates new ones we couldn't even imagine.
Right.
But when the technology can think and drive for itself, the nature of that next new industry is a complete mystery.
Definitely something to think about. Well, we're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.